at that point, it was, I think it was 1999. And so it had been a few years since the Civil War had ended. There was also better trade happening. And when I got back to the lake, I remember my brother and I were walking through the village, and we looked over. There's a basketball court in near the center square. And we saw these kids playing basketball, and we're like, oh. And growing up in the village, my entire time growing up, by the time I was 12 years old, I could stare across the entire market and see my brother. And because we were just a lot taller, the Zutuwiles were much shorter. And I just, like, through ignorance, I assumed that's was genetics. That's just who they were. But then this stunning thing, we looked around and we realized all the younger kids were getting taller than their parents in the village. And we realized that, and I'd asked the doctors what was going on, and they said, well, it's because we've introduced deworming medicine, and we have these like simple medicines were suddenly available in the village that they'd handed out in the schools. The younger Zutuwiles are much
healthier
taller,
looking,
healthier. They could pay more attention in
robust
school. They were doing better. It was holding us back. And so I think that kind of defined my whole career, where we like to think every generation and every moment we think we're living in modernity. But the truth is we are living in this ridiculous period where we put up with a huge amount of infectious disease that we just say, oh, well, that's life. People are going to get staph and they're going to die. Older people are going to get coronavirus or pneumonia and influenza, RSV, HMPV. And that's sad, but it's what happens.